Today, I got someone special. He's down in San Diego, the host of the On the Come Up podcast, the founder of the Backyard Billionaires, Chris Luna. Welcome to the show.
Lorenzo, thank you for having me.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is...
And so I started thinking to myself, how can I stuff some of this earned income into asset producing income, cash flow income? There was an asset value of around 40 million. I tell people, like, you legit have so much more info than I did when I got into my first deal. First deal, 6105 Dorothy Drive, San Diego, California, 92115. I share that address because they can fake crypto and they can fake the Lambo, but you can't fake the real estate on title, propertyradar.com. You'll see I owned it back in the day. But where it all really changed was when I started to build the ADUs. We exited that deal for around 1.6 million. One time I lost $500,000.
Holy shit. All right, let's give the story.
Okay, so it's
All right, guys, welcome back to the Lowdown. I'm your host, Lorenzo Mercado, and today I got someone special. He's down in San Diego. He's doing big things in multifamily development. He's also the host of the On the Come Up podcast, as well as the founder of the Backyard Billionaires community. So Chris Luna, welcome to the show.
Lorenzo, thank you for having me. It's so cool with technology. We're able to communicate like this. I mean, we're worlds apart. I say worlds apart. We're cities apart, but we're able to communicate and bring value to the audience. Thank you for having me on the show, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, it's such an honor. Chris and I actually met, funny enough, in Cancun about like a year and a half ago at one of these mastermind retreats. And this just goes to show that putting yourself in these rooms with other people who are doing big things you want to do, just really goes a long way, because we've been able to follow each other and just build relationships. And so I'm really excited to get into this story.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm excited as well. Thanks for having me on. Yeah.
So Chris, bird's eye view, what does your portfolio currently look like? And how did you get started in multifamily development?
Yeah, great question. It's early 2016. I'm fixing a bunch of iPhones called iGeeks iPhone Repair. I'm running this business. I'm hustling. I'm grinding. I'm taking phone calls. I'm the assistant. I'm the person ordering the parts. I'm doing everything. One-man show. And I'm like, I can't do this forever, right? And so I started thinking to myself, how can I stuff some of this earned income into asset producing income and cash flow income? And so I just started buying real estate. It's 2016. I had some buddies buying real estate around San Diego State. We started buying single family homes. And I'm known for ADUs. I was one of the first to do it here in San Diego. Now it's the hot topic, right? Everyone's doing it, but I've been doing this since 2019. I built my first ADU. So started off small, local, buying deals. And then that turned into buying bigger deals by 1031 exchanging into bigger assets in Pacific Beach.
Nice. Okay. And how many units or like things do you have currently in your portfolio right now?
It's the 14 different properties right now, all ranging from the, some are worth 1.2 million, some are worth 4.2, anywhere in that range. A lot of them are usually, in the $1 to $3 million range. 14 properties. Most of them are in Pacific Beach, 92109 zip code. I still have some by San Diego State. There was an asset value of around 40 million. This was back in 2021 when interest rates were lower, right? So I can value my property at a lot lower cap rates, meaning more value. But the last time I checked, it was 40 million. During that time, I think I owned about 43% of the portfolio. Different properties, different ownerships, different structures. Some properties I own 100%, some I would own 25%, but on average, 43% of 40 million. That was back in the day. Now I find myself buying partners out, owning less properties, but owning more of that same property. So more equity in the deals.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys can't tell, Chris knows his shit, so pay attention and really listen.
Let's go. I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. Well, it seems like you jumped from the cell phones to the first deal. What did it take to get to that first deal? Did you have a mentor? Did you join a coaching program? Anything like that?
Yeah, to get into the first deal, I tell people this because I have people in my community who are trying to do deals and they have all the access to the data and the info and the spreadsheets and the underwriting and the contractors. I tell people, like, you legit have so much more info than I did when I got into my first deal. When I got into my first deal, I knew absolutely nothing. I didn't know cap rates. I didn't know interest rates. I was just like, I want to buy real estate and get a little bit of cash flow. That's all I knew. So I had mentors. I was fortunate to have a buddy of mine, fraternity brother, Garrett Reuter, who really took me underneath his wings and taught me the game. He was a contractor, real estate agent, and he really poured into me. We lived together. So naturally, by osmosis, I'm picking up on all the little nuances of the business. And he really helped me. He was my mentor. I didn't have to pay him, so I got pretty lucky.
Okay.
Yeah.
So walk me through that first deal exactly. What did you buy it for? How'd you find it? What were the numbers and
Yeah.
everything like that?
First deal, 6105 Dorothy Drive, San Diego, California, 92115. I share that address because a lot of people, they can fake crypto and they can fake the Lambo, but you can't fake the real estate. If you go look that address up on title, propertyradar.com, you'll see I owned it back in the day. That property we purchased for $630,000. Kevin, he was a lawyer and fraternity brother of mine. He got the loan on the property and came in with, I think it was about $40,000. I came in with $40,000, and then another partner came in with $40,000. So all in all, we had $120,000 as a down payment, which was 20% down, and we got 80% from the bank. We remodeled that property, converted like this weird den area to a bedroom, remodeled the kitchens, and then we rented it out for about $6,000. I recall the mortgage on that deal was probably about $2,800. And we weren't charging property management at the time. I now do. I have a management company that charges, 6, 7, 8%. But back then I would manage for free, and we were cash flowing $3,000 a month. And I thought I was a genius. I was like, this is so cool. I'm making $1,000. Back then that covered my rent. So I was like, wow, I'm actually financially free. I probably made the mistake and started, living a little flashier, buying expensive things. But that was my first deal. And, that was cool and all. But where it all really changed was when I started to build the ADUs. So fast forward, closed that deal 2016. It stabilized 17, 18, 19. By 2019, we start working on plans and permits to build a 1,200 square foot ADU. And then by the time that was done, we had rents of like $12,000 a month. And we end up selling it based on I think it was like a 4.8 cap. We exited that deal for around 1.6 million. I remember my first big paycheck. Now, see, a lot of people, they mix it up. Everyone's like cash flow, cash flow, cash flow. That is very important. But the $1,000 was not life-changing for me. That didn't change my life. Like, yeah, I paid my rent. Okay, maybe. The life-changing amount was the $288,000 that was wired to me, $288 to my partner, Kevin, and then $288 to Matt. Like that money, all in a lump sum, that was the life changer. It's that equity creation. It didn't happen overnight. It took 5 years to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a lot of people, myself included, kind of just get hung up on the cash flow thing, like you said.
Yeah.
And it seems like definitely the equity play is where the real long-term wealth is built. And so I think we just got to really be patient, like you said.
Yeah. And I think underwriting for cash flow is wise. It's going to be harder to do, right? With where interest rates are currently, not very easy thing to do. I think underwriting for cash flow is going to make you more conservative in how you approach deals and the purchase price and your cost basis. But if you were to underwrite, a lot of developers build to sell. 9 out of 10 developers build these assets, buy them, and then sell them. And that model is where you can get caught, because if you get caught at the end of a 12-month or 18-month construction loan and you can't refinance because rates are up, well, then you're kind of stuck. You got to just sell at a break even or maybe even a loss. So underwriting for cash flow on these deals puts you in a safer position when you're going after them, is what I've learned.
Okay. What are some of the numbers that you can expect to see from like these multifamily deals versus like a traditional single long-term family like rental?
The multifamily compared to single family, like main difference is the debt on it and like the equity. So traditional multifamily deal, or let's go start with single family. You can put down 20%, pretty standard, 25%, sometimes get away with 5 or 10%, right? So less equity, less cash up front to close the deal. And so if you're just getting started, that may make sense for, 3 friends to come together, put down some money, get in their first deal. Now, that a multifamily deal right across the street, same zip code, is going to require more cash to close if you're trying to get into the traditional Fannie and Freddie debt. So that's government-backed agency debt. And so what that entails is 30% down. Usually you can have 30% down to that's what the bank's going to lend you. So it requires more equity to get in these deals. That's the main thing I see that's different. And then also cap rates. When you're messing with the multifamily world, you can enter and exit on cap rates, which has this kind of multiplier effect on the NOI, on what the property's worth and what you can make. Whereas single family homes is based on comps. And with comps, it's just what Sally's homes or Lorenzo's home sold for next door. So a little bit different on that. That's the main thing I see between the two.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the big draws, or one of the pluses of the commercial real estate. I mean, with the residential, as you know, like 1 through 4, it's like it's just all based on the recent sales, whereas like NOI is such a big thing with commercial real estate.
Yeah. Yep. So
Um,
true.
yeah, so I just got a bunch of rapid fire
Let's
questions
go.
that I
I
got
love
for
it.
the ADU stuff. So, what exactly are you looking for exactly when you're like looking for these deals? Like, what's your buy box?
Buy box for me, very simple, and I love keeping it simple. Real estate, if you can make it simple, you can raise money and you can start doing deals and you can start catching some good some good momentum. So for me, my deal box is 92109, one zip code. It used to be 92115, which was San Diego State. Played in that game for 7 years before I even started looking elsewhere. Ended up at the beach because I wanted pride of ownership. Right when I walked up to my properties by San Diego State, there's trash out front. The kids don't take out the trash cans. The students don't take care of the homes. The frat guys spill beer everywhere. The list of things. PB, it's a different type of renter. So I wanted pride of ownership, and that's one thing I really focused on. So now I'm in the 92109 Pacific Beach. My deal box consists of 1 to 4 units. I don't like to go over 4 units. I'll tell you why in a second. So 1 to 4 units. And then for me, I get even more specific with my zoning. I like to see a single family home on a multifamily zone property. So it could be RM11, RM25, RM38. These have different floor area ratios that allow me to use the ADU code and bonus ADU program here in San Diego to go and buy more or to build more assets or more units on these properties. So that's high level. When you buy an 8 unit, the problem with that is it takes up most of the land. And then if you take up most of the land, my business model doesn't work. So you want to buy like a 1 to 4 unit. That's what at least has been working for me.
Got it. Okay, so you buy 1 to 4 units, say it has one house on it. So you technically build 3 more units on it
Yeah.
until it gets to 4, or is there like a cap on how many you can build?
No, that's a good question. We often will take a 1 unit and add 3 units. That's a good little play. We call that a base hit. Just like in baseball, it's not a home run, but it definitely creates some equity, and we like that. The home run deals are where I'm building 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 ADUs, which is basically just a multifamily structure. Depending on if it's a single family zone or multifamily zone, that's going to dictate if you can build 1 or 2 or 3 units or 10 units. So yeah, that's our deal box, and it's worked really well. It allows me to say no to almost 95% of the deals I say or see, and for me, it's worked to really scale to focus on one zip code.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you done anything with like SB9, like cutting any lots or anything like that?
We looked into it. I looked into SB10. That didn't pass, or it did pass, but the city never opted into it. Kind of weird. There's a lot of pushback in the community for SB10. SB9 with the lot split, I've heard some good things. Again, have not had any experience with that yet. There's a lot of people in my community talking about doing it. I just, lot splits entail a lot of time and effort. Traditional lot splits take a very long time. SB9, if it speeds it up, that makes this very interesting. And so I would definitely be open to it for the right deal. But yeah, no experience with SB9 yet.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
How long does it typically take from the moment you like purchase a property and like going through all the permitting, all that stuff until it's like up and running?
Let's see here. So we just closed this deal, Missouri Street, closed it in 10, 11 days, closed it with someone in my community, backyard community, with Kane Gatewood. We closed the deal together. That was to close it. We got it fast. Next phase is now we're going to remodel the existing house. That's going to take, I don't know, call it 2 months, worst case scenario. Best case scenario, because Kane's on top of it, 1 month. Great. Then we stabilize it with renters. We call that phase one. Phase one's now done. During that whole time, we've been working on plans and permits. So survey, civil, engineering, plan check fees, city fees, all those things. We'll then go in, submit plans, get plans. That's going to take another 6 to 7 months for this particular deal. Sometimes it could take up to a year on multifamily developments. This one's only 3 ADUs, so much faster. And then let's call it another 5 months to build. So total project time on this one, we're estimating about 12 months. Worst case scenario, 14 months. Best case scenario, 10 months, somewhere in that range.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you lock in a tenant, they're pretty much feeding some of the cash flow. So you're not pretty much bleeding dry completely, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's going to help us service the debt. Every deal is different. We love getting into deals where when we get into the deal, it breaks even. If we can break even day one, I say buy the deal, because let me sidetrack real quick. There's 3 ways that I like to make money when I buy deals, and I've been sharing this with a lot of people. The most basic, simple way is having access to the units. If you can have access to the units and actually like own your real estate and not have the tenants basically own the real estate, if you can get that property delivered vacant and you can remodel it, that's a great way to make money. But besides that, the first way to make money is when you buy the asset, you're making 100K because of you just know you're getting a good deal on it. So that's the second way I like to make money is, and the third way is if you can add ADUs. So that's the long-term play. But yeah, if we can break even pretty fast or get to that point, whether day one when we close or when we remodel it, then you have all the upside over here of the ADU. So yeah, those are 3 ways I like to make money when I'm buying deals.
I love it. Yeah, the deals are made when you buy the house.
Yep.
For sure,
Exactly.
especially when you're buying at a discount.
Yep.
What's some financing that you use to do these like ADUs? Is it just like a hard money loan, or are you doing it just like private money lenders? Like what kind of things are you using?
Yeah, private money lenders are good. I've used hard money loans, fix and flip loans. Think Center Street, Conventus. I've used Conventus a lot recently. They're up in the Bay Area. They're great. Center Street. What are some others I've heard of? Kiavi. I have not used Kiavi, but all these lenders are you can get into the deal and maybe refinance to a construction loan once your plans are ready. What I often see is you can't go straight into the construction loan if you don't have the plans and permits stamped. So often with the ADU game, you really have to do it in phases, which is a little annoying because then you'll have to pay more points, more interest, but that's part of the game. So if you can find shovel-ready projects, which I like to do, in which you close it in day one, you're using a construction loan, that's pretty interesting because you just saved 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months and you go straight into construction. Now you had no holding costs. You're not bleeding, and it overall tends to be a better deal that way.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. What's been some of the challenges that you've had or you've faced like when scaling up?
Trying to do everything myself for the longest time. Like I've been running hard by myself for a while. Just recently, and I say that like as in like I'm the operator. I still have a lot of people around me. Like I have my contractor. He's got all his guys. This is just an extension of me at the end of the day, right? Contractor's more of like a project manager. When you think of the debt broker, he's on the team. Like, yeah, he's not on my team, but he helps me find the best loans. When you think of the architect, this is all I call professional team. I have a professional team of people who helped me get my deals across the finish line. But the problem was I was trying to do literally everything by myself, including setting up this podcast set, managing my properties, flipping the deals, whatever it was, the construction. So I'm just bringing more and more people around me. The key thing that's changed is now I have an office. When you have an office, you have everybody like on the same mission, with the same, moving in the same direction. That's been the game changer. I'll admit, for the longest time, I was cheap. I didn't want to invest in infrastructure and SOPs and having a roof that everyone could show up to every day. But I've done that now for, I guess it's been a month and a half, and it's been a game changer. So that's one thing that slowed me down, but it's okay. It made me work hard all those years by myself. But if I really want to scale, bringing in people, like Grant Cardone said that to me one time. He's like, you need people. Like, I'll never forget, like those words always ring in my head because I knew he was right, but I was trying to resist what he was saying. I was like, I don't want people. I don't need people helping me. I got this. It was a small think. And so ever since I've start bringing in more people and trusting more people, that was part of it, not trusting people. I've seen myself just become happier in the business. And now I'm ready to take off and really just take it to the next level.
That's awesome. I definitely can't wait to get to that point because right now I'm at a solopreneur, kind of doing everything myself like you.
Yeah.
In the beginning, especially right now, before I have any money, I'm waiting for my flips to take off and all that stuff.
Yep.
And I've read Dan Martell's Buy Back Your Time. And then I don't know if you've ever read the book, 10X is Easier Than 2X. Both of those also just talk about like delegation a lot. And there you go.
I literally just bought it the other day. Everyone's been
Dude, that's one of my favorite books, honestly.
It's
a really, really good
to
book.
Read it. Like, I'm very excited for that one.
Yeah. So just premise goes, just buy back your time, focus on the things that you're really good at, and then hire out for everything else.
Yeah. Prime example, usually I hop on calls and I raise money one by one, right? And dude, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of questions, a lot of the same questions. And so what I thought to myself, I was like, let's film one Loom video. I'm going to have all the details, the plans, the deal, how I got it, my excitement. I probably had like 5 coffees that day. I was fired up, and like the investors can feel that. And so I filmed that Loom video. I sent it out. Anytime people have interest in it, I send them the Loom video. And now I'm buying back my time because I used AI and technology. And so that was a prime example of probably somewhere in this book. It talks about like scaling and getting your time back. I've saved a lot of time now, and I can raise money simply by sending that video out. And now people can watch it 24/7. So now I'm raising money 24/7 because they're watching my videos and I'm over here filming a podcast, working on the next deal or whatever the next thing is.
I love it, man.
Yep.
So how much going to raising money? How much money have you raised since you started doing all this?
That's a great question. I actually don't know. It's definitely millions of dollars. Maybe tens of, like, for sure 10 million or more, I would say. I would think. I don't know for sure. You can't quote me on that. But based on the amount of deals I've done, it's been about 40 plus deals. Let's just make a number up because I'm a total math guy. I'm going to do, if I did 40 deals, let's say on average, these deals, some deals were 600,000, some were, let's just say 4 million. So let's say on average, it's like 1.3 million. I'm just making this up, times 40 deals. That's 52 million, right, of acquisitions times, let's say 0.20. Some are 0.30, some are 0.5. So that's $10 million of raised capital.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's ballpark. That's ballpark.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So as someone who has not raised any money, what advice would you give to someone who's looking to start doing it?
Investors want to feel taken care of. They want transparency. They want to work with people they know, like, and trust. Everyone has heard that. An easy way for them to get to know you is to share what you're going through on social media. If that's walking a deal, losing a deal, going after a deal, share it all. It's only going to help that people see all sides of you. So if you want them to like you, you probably want to resonate with people. So speaking to one avatar is something I've been thinking about. Like, as I'm thinking about this, the audience and who your audience is, I want to speak to that one person. And if I can speak to that one person, maybe a lot of people will resonate with it. And to build the trust, that just comes with track record. So trust, deal flow and equity comes easier to me than it was, of course, just 1 year ago because of social media, and for sure a lot easier than 2016. That's because I have track record and I've done a lot. And so people just want to be with experienced investors. So if you want to raise capital, great place to start, obviously, is friends and family. The friends and family is a good place. There's already an innate, certain level of trust already built in. So that's where I started, and that's where I'd advise others to start as well.
Okay. So if I don't have obviously any experience yet, other than my couple flips, and you said just go to friends and family, that would be your first, or just partner with someone who has the track record and then use them, kind of lean in on their experience.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think that the people that I see having success in backyard community are the people who just partner with me or partner with someone already doing deals. You can sit on these Zoom calls. I mean, everyone has the Zoom calls, right? We all have coaches, and you can sit on it. And honestly, and I know this because I was in Grant Cardone's real estate, I was in Ryan Pineda's, I've soaked in a lot of the knowledge. But if you just soak in the knowledge, it feels good in the moment. You get the little dopamine hit. You feel like you're going to do something. But if you don't take action, then that's it. It was wasted effort. And so what I see is a lot of people, they take in the info, and that's great. But then when we do our first deal together, they finally get in the deal. They have so many questions. They question everything they're doing because they haven't built in the courage and the confidence to know what a good deal beginning to end looks like. And the only way you get that, so I'm not knocking anyone who's going through the first deal. The only way you get that is by putting the reps in. Like, I can go after deals and get deals very often. I can raise capital very often because I've just put the reps in. I don't even have to think about it. It's just like a switch and it's on. Just like this podcast, I can just go.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's definitely all about taking action and just not overthinking or overanalyzing, and just learning from our failures as fast as possible.
100%.
So going on failures, it seems like you've had a lot of success. I really want to hear about some really big setbacks you've had or learning lessons, because I think those are the most valuable things.
100%. One time I lost $500,000.
Holy shit. All right, let's give this story.
Okay, so it's what is it? It's June 2022. This deal hits the market. I just closed about $10 million worth of deals. 5 unit, 7 unit, 8 unit, all in Pacific Beach, 92109, all within a quarter-mile radius of each other. I'm feeling on top of the world. I just bought the sickest deals. I'm beating out the competition. I got into my first multifamily deal. I'm done with the single family. I'm graduating now. I'm thinking I'm so cool. And then this $18 million deal hits, and I'm in Grant Cardone's real estate club, and I'm thinking, I'm going to get this thing. I'm going to close it, and it's going to be great. I get control of the deal. I don't know how. I leverage the other 3. That's what I do. I leverage the 3 closings I just had in PB to buy Grand Avenue. I beat out some billionaires who are going after it, get the deal in contract, tied up. I send $500,000 of my own earnest money deposit to escrow, non-contingent. Like, that money's gone. and I took a swing too big. What ended up happening was interest rates shot up multiple times in my 90-day escrow. I actually don't think I understood multifamily as well as I should have, especially as well as I get it now. I was buying it like a 3.5 cap. Debt was probably at like, I don't know, maybe 5.5, 6. And then I couldn't even get that debt because I didn't have experience. And so I had to go hard money. But the hard money guys, they don't want to be risky. It's a family office guy. He was ready to stroke me a check for about 10 million. Purchase price was 18 million. The math on that, I had to raise 8 million. I was expecting to raise 5, 4. So I fell short on equity. I probably raised about 3 million. We didn't deploy it. Investors just got their money back, or I never even saw the money. So I lost $500,000, and that investor actually ended up selling it for like 17 million or so. When he closed it, I begged Ed. His name was Ed. I said, Ed, like, please, like, my whole life is in shambles right now. Like, can you please give me back some money? He wrote me a check for 250K. I remember he like hand delivered this check. So I ended up losing 250,000, and it was a pricey mistake. It's hard to lose money like that. Everything happens for a reason, though. It put me on this path of social media to share that message. I was so embarrassed when it happened. Everyone in town knew about it because commercial real estate's a small world. So I was very embarrassed. That was something I carried that shame for a while. But you know what? I started sharing my story instantly after that on TikTok first because I didn't want to share on Instagram. I was on TikTok, and I'm happy it happened, honestly, because it put me on this path, and I'm really happy with where my life is right now.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you sharing that story. I resonate with you because on my first flip, I lost 30,000. So I can't even imagine how you felt thinking you're going to lose 500,000 because I was definitely shitting bricks thinking I was going to lose more than that. But I think, like you said, it's really powerful to just share your stories, whether it be wins or losses, because obviously on Instagram and social media, it's just all highlight reels. And so no one ever really talks about the losses. And so I think it makes it more, I guess, for people to connect with you and just willing to do business because they know that you've lost.
100%. Yeah, I had people reach out. Someone reached out 2 weeks ago, and she's like, I saw you on Rich Summers' podcast, and I love that you talked about your losses. Like, I really resonate with that. I had a loss too. And so and I don't do it just to resonate with people. I do it because I want to help people. I want people to feel seen and heard and know that even though you might think Chris Luna's life is so great, which, yeah, it's a good life. I'm living a good life. Like, I go through things just like everybody else. Some days I wake up and I'm tired and I just want to go back to bed. Some days my back hurts and I just want to just like chill, but I power through, keep showing up. I have community around me, and that helps me hold myself accountable by having people who really depend on me. So yeah.
I love it, man. Going on just like mental fortitude and mindset, that's just like something that's just the most important thing when it comes to real estate. I think in anything in life, without a strong mindset, like nothing's possible. What do you think has been the biggest impact on your life as far as having such like resilience and strong mindset? Is it any specific habits? Is it anything that you've changed in your life?
Yeah. What comes to mind? This is just like a chance of fate, and maybe there's someone out there who's experienced this, but in high school, I was actually cut from my basketball team, and that stung. And for decades, that drove me. Maybe when, like, younger Chris, it programmed me to think like, I wasn't good enough. And so getting cut from that basketball team early on really just, it wrecked me. But what it did is it made me work really hard. And I see this repeating pattern in my life where if I get rejected or I lose a deal or something, it just sends me into the stratosphere right after. So my secret hack is I love losing, because secretively it just like, it nudges me in the right way. But now I come from a place of like, things happen, everything happens for a reason. I have my faith. Like, either way, I know I'm doing things, in accordance to like my faith and like who I am. So I always know it's going to work out in the end. But that's one thing that just comes to mind as you ask that question. Another thing, as far as like habits that really worked for me, especially when I was like younger and, was just getting in the game, was I wake up very early. These days, I can sleep in a little bit, 6:30, 7. But early on, man, I'm up 4:30, 5 o'clock, hungry, ready to go like a dog, just ready to get after it. Waking up early, what I liked about it was, especially now, my phone blows up quite a bit, emails, texts, everyone's always nudging me for something. But no one's hitting you up at 4 a.m. So a lot of people say, what's the difference? wake up at 4 or stay up all night. Well, you got a clear mind. You just woke up in the morning. No one's bugging you. You can do this inner deep work. That's another book I read, is Deep Work by Cal Newport. That's one of my favorite books. But you can get into deep work and work on these little hour time blocks, uninterrupted, no cell phone, no email, and just go into a nice creative think. And yeah, waking up early, of course, has been huge for me. Yeah, those are the two that come to mind.
Okay, I love it. Yeah, waking up early is one of the biggest life hacks, I think.
For sure.
I also wake up early. Days I work in the hospital, I'm up at 3:30, at the gym by like 4:30, and I think it's there's something special about being up, doing some productive things, knowing that the rest of the world is asleep. It's like very powerful.
100%. 100%. Ryan Serhant talks about that. Finder, keeper. I read it in his book one time, but he has a finder hour where all he does is reach out to his contacts and he's finding new leads. And early on, and on the come up, I had my finder hours where for an hour I'm just looking for new deals. And then I'd actually play some I mean, I'm not listening to hip hop or rap, although like I enjoy some hip hop. I was listening to this deep focus playlist on Spotify. It did something to
I
me.
love that.
Yeah,
I love that one.
put me in the zone, and I still can hear some of those songs to this day. And I would remember the next song on that playlist. It's trippy. My brain remembers that. Anytime I play that playlist, it brings me back to this time, a special time.
Love it.
Yep.
Love it, man. One thing I also really want to talk about is just, I know you started the Margaritas and Mingle, that meetup. You also have this podcast on the come up. What are some of the biggest, I guess, benefits that you've seen from being super active on social media, doing these meetups, doing the podcast? Because a lot of people are too afraid to do it. What's the best things that have come from it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was scared to do all this stuff too. Fear of judgment from like friends, family, the enemy's telling me like, don't do that. You won't make it, you know. And I'm happy I didn't listen. I'm happy I pursued through. So if anyone out there's thinking about creating content, it's totally worth it. At first, no one's really watching, and that's okay. You get the reps and you get comfortable, and then it just becomes easy. So I just wanted to share that. If there's anyone who's thinking about doing content creation, because I see a lot of real estate people getting into that, like definitely lean into it and just practice. Film yourself, record yourself, watch it back later, you know, and you can see, do I say a lot? Do I talk too fast? Whatever it is. As far as Margarita and Mingle is concerned, starting that meetup, I think it was about 18 months ago. It's been a total game changer. Every time the last Margarita and Mingle I went to, I didn't want to go. I was kind of feeling one of those days. It's like, man, I just moved into the office. I'm building furniture. My hip hurts. I'm tired. But I said to myself, every time you go, you meet one person that changes the trajectory of your business. So a couple months ago, it was this architect. Now she's doing a complete communities deal for me here in San Diego. That was huge. I met her by fate, like, because I went to the event. Last time it was an investor. Right when I walked in, she walks in and she says, I watch all your content. And it was so like humbling, like, what, me? Like, you watch all of my stuff? Like, that's so cool. She knew all this stuff about me. And so I get to see, okay, I'm having a positive impact on people. So Margarita Mingle has been great to meet new people, and then maybe they come and join the community. Maybe they don't. Either way, I get to meet them, you know, chat with them. My brand grows, expansion. And then the podcasting and the social media, it goes in waves for me. Sometimes I'll be all in, I'll push content out. Sometimes I'll need a little break from it because it's starting to feel like a job and it's not as creative anymore. And when I get to that point, I just take a little chill pill, relax, recalibrate. And then when I get going again, like I am right now, it's nonstop. I'll just be filming nonstop. And then I got Nick, the producer in the background. He just starts pumping out content.
I love it.
Yep.
Yeah, the relationship thing that you said from the meetups, that got me thinking about. I don't know if you've ever read the book The Power of One More by Ed Mylett. I love that book. But the thing is, you're one anything away, like Power of One More. You're one relationship away from changing your life, and so that's why sometimes I may not be wanting to go to these meetups either. But I always know that if I go, maybe I'll meet someone special. Like if I didn't go to Cancun, maybe I've never have met you. You know,
for sure, 100%. Like you just never know who you're going to meet, and that's exciting. I met Brandon Turner at WealthCon July 2019. This could be a little motivation for you. You know, the early on, how many episodes have you had so far? It's probably,
this is like number 18 or 19.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you're like right where I was. I'm gonna give you a little backstory. So, this is like February 2022 or January. Me and Brandon Fortino, we see Bridger Pennington at WealthCon, and I had no podcast yet, But I run up to Bridger. I go, Bridger, I'm starting a podcast. Like, would you be on it? Right. That was my pitch. And Brandon Fortino kind of forced me. I had a buddy. He's holding me accountable. He's like, yeah, no problem. But you got to film 20 episodes first. If you film 20 episodes, I'll go on your podcast. I'm like, great. So literally that night, me and Brandon, Vegas hotel room, we start filming the podcast, episode 1. And after that, I start interviewing local guys. We're getting up there in numbers. And then by the time it was like 20 episodes, I'm like, wow, I'm actually getting better at this. I can lead the conversation. I'm asking better questions. And then all of a sudden, just these new opportunities start coming. I got Brandon Turner on the podcast because I met him in an elevator. I had Ryan Pineda on, Grant Cardone. And then once you have guys like that on, it's very easy to get others because they're like, you had Grant Cardone on? Yeah, I'll be on your podcast, right? So I'm starting to see everybody locally wants to be on the podcast, which is great because now I can really pull the gold and value out of them and share that with the world.
That's badass.
Yeah.
After having done a podcast with these bigger name people like Grant Cardone, Ryan Pineda, and Brandon Turner, what are some of the biggest takeaways you've gotten from your conversations with them?
Oh, dude, that's a great question. They're just normal dudes. I think a lot of people can put females and males on a pedestal. Maybe you love a girl, you think she's so beautiful, and you put her on a pedestal, right? The influencers, people can put them on pedestals because they have huge followings. But at the end of the day, they're just like us, and they'll say that too. And I think it's so cool because what it shows you is you can do it too. Like, yes, you in the audience, listen to this. Like, you can be that if you choose to. Now, it's a lot of work. It's not easy, but you can definitely be that. So that's one key takeaway. Another key takeaway would be how much they lean into social media. They're all family men. I notice I think there's something about having a wife and kids that probably motivates people to get to the next level. So they all have wife and kids. I think there's something to that. It says that in the Bible. And so, those are some things I've noticed about these guys who I've had on the podcast.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that I also often put people on pedestals like that, and I know that we're all made from the same skin and blood, right?
Yep.
It just all comes down to taking action and just continuously taking action and not falling to failures or giving up.
Yeah, absolutely. And these guys, they always have something going on, whether it's lawsuits or unhappy students or whatever. Like you'll get attacked by a lot of people. So that's another thing I'm learning from them is it's inevitable. You will get some type of attack when you're about to enter that next level, whatever it is. It could be going from single family to multifamily. During that time when you're leveling up, something's going to come at you, and you got to be ready for it and act accordingly.
Cool. Yeah. One thing I'd like to touch on, I know you talk about faith a lot, and it seems like a lot of really successful entrepreneurs are deep in their faith also. Have you always been super into faith, or is that something that came up recently?
Yeah, great question. So I grew up Catholic from, I guess, kinder to 12th grade, Catholic elementary and private Catholic high school. And so that was my faith. I was singing in the choir on Sundays with my brother. We were the only guys in the choir. A lot of people don't know that, like 2nd to 8th grade. So singing was my thing. I like singing. And
I like it.
Yeah, I think in college, probably had some type of image. What is it? Like, I wasn't very confident in myself. And so what did I do? I turned to alcohol and or drugs to fill that void in me, or to be the life of the party, or this big, like this party guy. And that was my life for decades, not decades, like a decade, for a lot of my 20s. So during the college years, I really kind of lost touch with my faith, didn't go to church. I go to church occasionally when I was back home, but it wasn't until I would say in my 30s, I was feeling like a little void. I'm like, man, I miss the church. I miss the people. And I actually had someone, it's funny how God can pursue you through others. Liam Silva, he was one of my mentees. I think you blanked out there. Are you there? Cool. Yeah, Liam Silva was one of my mentees, and he kept reaching out to me. And then so we sat down and got coffee. And, I'm a little standoffish at that point. Not standoffish like while we were there, but I was very hard to get on that meeting with him. But I finally sat down with him, young cat out of SDSU, and he goes, I want to learn real estate from you. I've been studying what you're doing. I think it's so cool. And then he just one day, he was like, hey, you want to go to church? So we went to church together, first time going to a Christian church. And ever since then, but slowly but surely, I feel like God's been working on my heart. Definitely experience like the presence of God in the church I go to now, Awaken, here in San Diego. The Holy Spirit always feels like vibrant and there in the room when I go to church. And so, yeah, man, I'm very happy that I have my faith. It's definitely the part of me, and the most important part, actually, that I was missing on the come up, you know?
Yeah. That there's so much that I connect with because I also grew up Catholic for a long time, and pretty much all throughout college and high school, I kind of stopped going to church and all that. And most recently, especially going to like Ryan Pineda's events and stuff like that, I feel like that's something that's really lacking in my life and a void, just like you said. And so that's something I'm really trying to work on as well.
That's awesome, man. I think it's really cool. Like when you can just like come from that place, I mean, it changes everything. It changes like the very fabric of your heart and your being, and people see it. Like I can see it in Christians. Like, yeah, I still have my days, right? I still can be impatient. I still could be maybe a little too assertive with my words, but slowly but surely, I've seen God work on my heart, and it's really cool. If there's anyone out there listening, like faith has been such a big part of my success in real estate, because it allows me to just like know that he's got a plan. Like my plan, like his plan is better than my plan. Like my ADU drawing to build my units, like he's got a way bigger plan for me. And so if you can remember that and know that, all will be well.
I love it. Well, thanks for sharing, man.
Yeah.
So what are you excited for most for this year? Any big plans? Where do you foresee yourself as far as, let's just like, you're just going to keep scaling up? Any other things you want to dive into?
Yeah, yeah, I want to definitely scale, do more deals like that. That's cool. I'm getting into some ground up development. I got this huge $4 million project I'm going to be taking on here in Pacific Beach. That's very exciting for me because I feel like a real developer now. You know, the ADUs, anyone can do them. You're still a developer if you can do that, and it's great. It's the same process to build a big multifamily development, but it's a different stage of my career. I'm excited for it because I think that with this success is only going to attract more of what I'm looking for, which is more business for all my property management company, my construction company. It all ties in. I study all the greats. I don't always agree with everything they say.
Love it. Who's your biggest mentor or someone that you look up to?
Grant Cardone, for sure. Like he's definitely helped me in the real estate space. I really, I, I respect like what he's built because he's came from nothing. You know, he lost his dad when he was 10, addicted to alcohol, drugs, and he still made it. And now he's getting into politics. I just think that's so cool. I think he's overall a good dude. So Grant's definitely one of them. Ryan's been great to watch him grow. Like he's a peer, right? He's created so much success at such a young age. I think he's a year younger than me. So Ryan's definitely someone I look up to and aspire to continue to build a friendship and relationship with. And just like a lot of the local developers, the small guys, people here in San Diego that people don't know. Like I see these guys hustling and grinding and putting in the work, and people don't know this, but these are the guys who that no one would even know of. For instance, Keith Henderson, San Diego State developer. He's taught me so much. Like I learned so much from him, and you guys will never see him on a podcast or any of these, but I'm fortunate enough to pick up my phone on a Saturday and call this guy and get free mentorship from like someone who's doing big things, like just because he's just my friend. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely find people who are doing the things you want to do,
for sure,
and bring value unconditionally, and just keep giving abundance.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're choosing your wife is probably very, very, very maybe the most important thing I would think, because you could have all the success. Like right now, I'm not married, no kids, and I've created some success. But if I married the wrong wife, or that could be the worst decision of my life. So I think that's probably got to be, choose wisely.
Yes. Biggest financial decision you ever make is who you marry.
Yeah. So maybe to be funny, maybe some people should get a prenup.
I love it, Chris. Well, thank you so much for hopping on. It's been amazing. If the listeners want to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to do so?
Yeah, backyardcommunity.com. That's where my webpage is. That links to my school channel. There we teach ADU development. I have a podcast called On the Come Up. It's on Spotify, YouTube, all social media platforms, Apple Podcasts. And then Instagram is where I'm most active. Like you can DM me and I'm going to respond. Might take a little bit, but I'll respond. ChrisJ.Luna. Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. It's all Chris J Luna or Chris J. Luna. So I'm everywhere, man. I make myself accessible because I think when some people make it, they tend to do this. They close the curtains. They say, nope, you can't see how I got it. And I'm gonna say this thing's name's De Niro. I want to show everyone how to get the De Niro. Okay. So I think that's a good closing. What do you think about that?
I love it, man. Well, Chris, it's been such an honor. I'm very honored to know you and follow along on your journey. And so, yeah, thanks for hopping on, man.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, Lorenzo. It was a pleasure having me on the. Thanks for having me on the podcast. I think you're a great host. It's gonna be cool to see how you grow your channel. However, I can help you throughout your process and journey in this. I'd love to just help you out, and we can collaborate on these posts and get the word out there.
Yeah, I'll have to make it down to the Margaritas and Mingle.
Let's go. Let's do it. Every last Thursday of the month, 5 to 8, Hideaway. Let's go.
Let's do it. All right, guys, you heard it here. This is Chris, and I'm Lorenzo. This is Lowdown. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Peace.
Peace.